And hello and welcome to another episode of the Firearms Insider Gun and Gear Review Podcast. This is episode 78. On this show, we showcase gun reviews, gear, and anything else a gun enthusiast may be looking for. We strive to evaluate products from an unbiased and honest perspective. I'm your host, Ryan Cross from the Firearms Radio Network, your source for broadcasts for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This week, I have with me TJ, returning from Nashville from the NRA show. How's it going, TJ?
Hey Ryan, it's doing pretty good. Had a good time in Nashville. Man, it was busy though.
Well, tell us about some of the sweet new products that were kind of debuted at the show.
Yeah, well, as soon as I got into Nashville, went and picked Ryan and Chad up from the Handgun Radio. Went pick him up from the airport, and we headed over to the show and got our media badges. And then we headed over to the Nashville Armory for the Glock 43 introduction party, which is a really cool event. The Nashville Armory is a pretty big place. It's really nice. You got beautiful facilities and very nice, clean, well lit range. And they had kind of food set up and just kind of like a reception, I guess, kind of like deal. But what they did, they took us into this one little room where they did a briefing, kind of talked about the pistol a little bit, went over the safety rules to make sure everybody was going to be safe on the range. And then we went into the range, and they had a couple magazines loaded up next to a new Glock 43. So we got to put some rounds through those, and it was very interesting. I surprised myself, I suppose. I wasn't expecting it to be bad or anything. It's just kind of the size is what turns me off, because personally I think it's not big enough to be a belt gun, not small enough to be a pocket gun, so it really doesn't fit a niche for me. But shooting it was definitely a really good shooter. I could see where a lot of people would like it. So it shot basically like a Glock 26. So if you've owned one of those or shot one of those, the recoil was about the same. Didn't particularly jump out of my hand, and that, I guess, is attributed to the fact that it is a little bit bigger than some of the other subcompact or little micro 9. So that was pretty cool. But it did, I guess, the thickness of the grip and maybe the slightly shallower stippling, because it's got the same texture as the Gen 4 Glocks, which is pretty aggressive, but they toned it down a little bit on the 42 and 43. So I guess that combined with the smaller grip made it kind of slip out of my hand a little more. So I actually Ryan took a video of me shooting it, and you can see after each shot I'm having to readjust because it's slipping a little bit. But I could definitely see where other people could have a good time shooting it.
Yeah, right on. I bet there's a lot of people looking forward to seeing that. I enjoyed the 42. I just wish that I could find 380 at the time, because it seems like it kind of started a scarcity of 380 around where I am locally. But speaking of 380, didn't Rock Island have a new small handgun out too?
Yeah, they're Baby Rock is what they call it, and it's a 380 caliber 9mm. Not 9mm. 1911. That's what I meant to say. It's just a tiny scaled down 1911. It's bigger than like the Colt Mustang a little bit, and it's I think it's a 7-round 380. And the barrel, I don't remember how long the barrel was, like 3.5 inches or so. So it's a little bigger than your usual like LCP and that kind of stuff, but it's still not huge. And I didn't get to, obviously the Glock 43 was the only thing we shot, because we went to that release party, and everything else at the NRA show was inert. But that Baby Rock had really good trigger for a micro gun like that, and it was just very attractive for, tiny gun of its caliber, especially coming from Rock Island. I know, I've heard a ton of people bash on them, but I think they've kind of gotten their stuff together lately from what I've heard. So I imagine people will be looking forward to that too. So it was a really nice gun, nice trigger. It didn't have a grip safety though, which I think a lot of people will appreciate. Like most 1911s have the grip safety, but they didn't add that in when they made this gun. So that's nice.
Right on. And is that Chad Wallace I see that joined us?
Is he in the show?
It looks like it.
Looks like Chad popped in. Your lower third's not on, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
So what about some of the other things that you saw? Just quick points on I guess, the remaining highlights of the show.
Yeah, I was just kind of like over the last few weeks, I've been kicking around the idea of replacing the Glock 19. I traded for my Smith & Wesson 66 357 a couple months back, actually the same week that you got your 686. But so I kind of went to the show with the idea of just looking at other guns to see maybe if I should replace my Glock or just get a new Glock 19. So one of the things I looked at to possibly fill that role was the 320. And I know the 320's been out for well over a year now, but I just wanted to check it out and look at it. And I actually got to talk to two different reps about it. We got video of one, and then where he just kind of went over the features, and then another rep. You might recognize him from their YouTube training channel. His name was Adam. I forget his last name at the moment. I think it was something Italian, but talked to him for a good probably 10-15 minutes about it. And so the 320 was really nice. I like the trigger on it was great, way better than honestly I was expecting, because SIG usually does their double action trigger pull. So for whatever reason, I was expecting to be heavier, but it was really nice, and I like their modularity. So I'll have to keep that on my radar. I think I might still go with the Glock 19 because I have a ton of Glock mags and holsters and stuff, so it'd be kind of hard to start from scratch. But if I do switch, that SIG is high up in the running. And then, what's that?
I was gonna say that's why I didn't get rid of my 19, because everyone I know who's gotten rid of their 19s regret it and miss it. So
yeah, I mean I miss mine, but I'll probably get something. And I did look at the Lone Wolf frames, and I think I might build one up rather than buy a 19. I might build a Lone Wolf Timberwolf. So we'll see about that in the coming months. One of the other new handguns for this year we talked about, I think right around the first of the year, Carr has their Gen 2 premium line, which what they did, they took their full size handgun line and hold on a second. Okay, I'm sorry. They added a couple premium features, I guess you could say. They shortened the trigger a little bit, so they added the little trigger blade safety like Glock has, and then they milled the slot for a loophole delta point. And now these are the Carr TP9 and TP45, I believe they are, and I think they have them for the P9 and P45, so the slightly smaller ones. But what they did on the TP series, they extended it a little bit, kind of like a Glock 34 versus 17, where the slide's a little bit longer, and it has that little kind of extended recoil spring area. And then on top of that, for another model, they added like another inch of barrel that sticks out the front and put a compensator on it. And those were really nice. I had a good time handling those and looking down the sights. And they added the suppressor height type sights on the one with the delta point. So those are pretty cool. It's a little more than most people are used to thinking about when they think of Carr, because we're used to the like the CM, CW line that are in the $300 to $400 range, but these are on their full feature P line, so they run a little more, and then plus the premium features add a little bit more price to them. So I think the premium Gen 2 TP45 with the loophole delta point was running $1,500.
very cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that we're going to be talking about other stuff from the NRA show in the next couple episodes. So probably don't want to talk about everything in one show. And then, of course, we're going to have products in this show about what was kind of highlights of the NRA annual meeting, as well as the next couple shows. So kind of mixing in some still some SHOT Show stuff and just new stuff that's coming out or came out. So I just want to get into announcements. Obviously, our guests are always welcome. So I encourage you guys to send me an email, cross@firearmsradio.tv, if you'd like to come on the show. Another thing I wanted to do is I wanted to give a free plug to a machinist who's pumping out these muzzle brakes, and then I just got one. So it's not like a paid advertisement or anything like that. But this website, muzzlebrakesandmore.com, it's a guy out of Idaho, and he's making these muzzle brakes for your rifles. And basically, you can choose whether you want it to be 4-port or 5-port. If you want a 3-port, he can arrange that too, but he kind of defers that to another one of his buddies. But you can get these muzzle brakes made to, like a multiple diameters, and then they can be turned down to the diameter of your barrel. So all you need is a good gunsmith and a lathe to be able to do that. So he's got 0.75 diameters. He's got 0.875. He's got a full inch. He's even got let's see. Oh, and he's got all the thread pitches too. So if it's 1/2 by 28, 5/8 by 24, 9/16 by 24, all you do is you just email him and then tell him what caliber it's for, what thread pitch you want, how many ports, and I think it only cost like $45. And he got it to me like within a week. It was amazing. I'm really happy with it. So there's actually 4 diameters. So I already listed the 1 inch, the 875, the 750, and there's a 0.45 inch. So it's they're really high quality muzzle brakes. I put it on my 300 Win Mag, and it definitely is effective. It makes it feel like a 243. The thing that I like most about them is you can turn them down to exactly the right diameter you need. So then you can have it painted because they come to you, stainless. And then you can have them Cerakoted, and it almost matches the barrel perfectly. So I wanted to give them a quick plug because $45, man. I mean, you can buy a Vice or any other kind of muzzle brake out there, and it's going to be up in the hundreds. So for $45, it was pretty easy. His website's a little bit difficult to find the prices on, so I just emailed him directly. And then I had to mail him a money order because he doesn't take credit cards. But it's actually a really nice product. So I just wanted to let you guys know that if you're building a long range bolt action rifle, or you're looking for a really sleek and a muzzle brake that can really blend into your barrel. Other announcements, we still got that iTunes review giveaway going on, where we'll be giving away 2 of these Gunstruction SHOT Show 2015 promo kits. So it's a couple patches, and then there's a plastic AR-15 dust cover that's got the Gunstruction molded on there, and then it comes with a promo code so you can download the app on your iPhone for free. So it's not like I think it's like $1.99, but you get it for free. So just leave us this podcast an iTunes review, and you'll be entered to win. And the cutoff for that would be April 28th. So let's get right into the product spotlight. We're going to forego doing the review section of the podcast, just because there's so much to cover from the NRA show that we're going to all talk about products this week. So first up is the Glock conversion for 22 TCM. So I've heard of this. I've seen it coming down the pike. So did you actually get to get a closer look at it, TJ?
Yeah, actually, this was, I guess, maybe flew under our radar or something for SHOT Show. I didn't notice, but whenever I was looking for a picture to throw in the show notes, I noticed they had a few places with info from SHOT Show, so I guess we just kind of missed it on there. But I got to handle this, and I was pretty excited. We talked to Carlos, which I think is maybe the owner of Armscore. I think it's his brother or something along those lines, and he talked to us about it. And what this is, it's a we all know kind of, or maybe not. A lot of people might not know, but Armscore came out with their own round. Maybe a year or 2 ago, if that, and called the 22 TCM. And what it is, it's it's similar to like a neck down 9mm. What it actually is a cut down 223 case, and then it's got a 224 bullet, but it's the length of a 9mm, so it fits. Actually, I think it's the length of a 45 or so, maybe a little shorter than a 45. But so they designed it to fit into their 1911s and have it convertible between 9 and 22 TCM. So if you shot whichever one you had at the time, but so I guess the concept of it is similar to the 5.7, where you have that really light, speedy bullet, because I think it's 2,100 feet per second out of a 5-inch barrel. So what they decided to do, rather than try to force Glock people to buy a 1911, because that's just asking for cats and dogs to live together. So rather than do that, they just made a Glock 17 upper, to where you just throw it on your gun, and you can shoot 22 TCM out of it. And one thing they kind of had to overcome was that the original 22 TCM was a little long to fit in the Glock magazines. So you do have to buy special ammo, but I think it's the same price as their standard 22 TCM. I think it's called 22 TCM R, and it's just kind of got like a rounded nose instead of like a point, like a Spitzer point. So really cool thing about this upper, other than the fact that it shoots a brand new round, is that I guess the pressures and recoil of the 22 TCM didn't warrant having such a heavy slide as the original, Glock 17. So they took a ton of lightning cuts on the back. I have a picture thrown in the show notes to where you can see they have these really deep grooves cut into the back between like the rear sight and the barrel area. And then they've got two big long, they're not ports, but they look like you might get when you get the V ports cut into the top of the slide. And as well as the barrel is a tapered barrel. So where it doesn't need to be thick, it's not thick. So it's pretty cool. It takes a lot of weight off of this gun. It's a lot lighter than a standard Glock 17. And first thing I noticed when I picked it up, racked the slide, and it was crazy light. The slide weight was crazy light. And not the slide weight, but the recoil spring weight. So we asked Carlos about it, and he said that it's an 8-pound recoil spring. And I was curious how that stacked up to a standard Glock 17, so I looked it up today. And the standard Glock 17, I think, is 17 or 18 pounds. So it's, pretty close to half the slide weight. So if you have somebody with, less hand strength, this could be, a pretty good option, because you could rack the slide way more easily.
Yeah, well, definitely is interesting.
Yeah, and another thing, it comes with a front fiber optic sight, so it's pretty cool. Standard. And I think he told me the MSRP was $429, and that was just kind of verbal on the show floor, so I'm not sure quite how set in stone that is, but you can probably take it to be somewhere around there at least.
Yeah, it's kind of similar in concept to the 5.7.
Right.
And a lot of people jumped on board for that, but it's so high pressure that it's really difficult to reload and almost non-reloadable. And one nice thing is, at least the people that I talked to in Vegas this year, is that the 22 TCM is reloadable. So you'll be able to, much like the 300 Blackout, either buy the brass or maybe even cut it and form it yourself.
Yeah, I think I've heard of people forming the 22 TCM brass out of 223. And I think the problem, I remember hearing something about it. It had something to do with the extractor being different. I don't remember exactly. Something odd about why they used a 223 case versus a 9mm.
Yeah.
But it's roughly the same rim diameter, so I guess it worked out for both.
Yeah. Well, and then, you can save your brass, and then,
right.
Go to the store and buy, round nose 224, which I haven't necessarily seen a whole lot of, but hopefully it comes out.
Yeah. I'm sure Arms Corps makes their own ammo, so I'm sure they make their own bullets, or at least have a source for it. So they'll probably want to try to get that out. out in everybody's hands to make sure that you can reload it and buy their own. Because from what I've seen, their prices are actually reasonable for a still relatively boutique caliber. They're
Yeah.
not paying $50 for a box of 50. It might be a little more than shooting 9mm, but it's not bad.
Yeah. And did you mention the magazines? Do they use existing caliber Glock magazines, or is it a proprietary
Yeah,
magazine?
the reason for the, I guess, round nose bullet versus the pointed bullet is because they wanted to be able to use standard Glock magazines because according to Carlos, you tell people that they're gonna go have to buy out a ton of magazines to replace, or not replace, but to supplement this new kit, you might not be as likely to do it. So you can use the standard Glock 17 magazines. And I forgot to ask him when a 19 was coming out, but I'm sure they're probably not far behind. Don't take my
Yeah.
word on it, though.
Yeah, especially with those cheaper Magpul Glock magazines coming out
Oh, yeah.
too.
Yep. I was really interested in this whenever we talked about it months ago, and I said, well, whenever they make a Glock conversion, I'll be all over it because the 22 TCM seems like an awesome round. But, it's for a 17, and I don't have a 17. Well, I don't have a 19 either, but I'm working on it.
Yeah. So next up, we're going to talk about a new suppressor from Surefire. And so, earlier, I think, was it last year or earlier this year, they came out with that 22 Rider, and it won a bunch of awards for like best suppressor of the year or whatnot from different publications. I can't remember them off the top of my head. So they've actually just ramped it up to 9mm. So the Surefire Rider 9 TI suppressor, obviously TI stands for titanium. So it's got an MSRP of $799.99, so $800. And you get the ultra lightweight titanium, and it's fluted to further reduce the weight and enhance the appearance. So it's not your typical can. It kind of has a unique look to it. And it looks like they are offering it in a couple different colors. I see what looks like a flat dark earth color.
Let's see, they have black, gray, and dark earth.
Yeah, which is like the new tactical rainbow.
Yeah, I think gray is kind of the big thing right now.
Yeah, well, if you've got depending on your firearm, you might have more of a softer black slide, so it matches a little bit more than just a brand new, jet black.
Yeah, I think the Glocks kind of have that lighter gray, not gray, but it's a light black, I guess.
Yep. So just like the 22 version, you can take out the baffle stack, and they are numbered, so you'll be able to disassemble and clean if you want to, and then reassemble, and you can't really do it wrong because it's numbered, so it's going to be very easy to put the baffles back in the cylinder and reassemble it in the correct orientation, and then keep up maintaining it like that. So it looks like a pretty nice 9mm suppressor. Let's go over some of the other features. It is just a thread-on. It's got an attachment for 1/2 by 28 or M13.5 by 1 threaded barrels, depending on the model. Let's see here. They proprietary pig nose stainless steel baffles are durable and provide superior sound attenuation and greatly reduced muzzle blast. So that's something kind of unique, is they're not using K baffles or some other baffle design that most suppressors use. They have this pig nose design that seems to do a pretty good job. So the overall dimensions of this one are, see, I was just looking at it. Where did it go?
It's 7.6 inches long, 1.25 inches in diameter, and 9.5 ounces.
Thank you very much.
No problem. That's really light for a suppressor, being that it's made out of all titanium. And I'm not sure they show in the picture, but I'm not seeing. I would assume it does because it's made for 9mm. It comes with the recoil booster, I think is what they call it. The part that helps you shoot on a handgun versus a carbine.
I'll let you helps the slide cycle.
Yeah, I forget what that's called. I think it's called the recoil booster or something like that. But it looks like it comes with that.
Yeah, it actually looks a little bit longer than what I would say other typical handgun suppressors are, but it's I've watched a couple of videos on it. It's really quiet, and of course, it being designed with titanium and having some fluting in it, or at least the sides, it's much lighter than what you would expect for the length of it. So another nice thing is the diameter of it. Kind of, you don't need to get higher sights necessarily. You should be able to still have a sight picture with your standard sights without having to buy the taller set.
Yeah,
So
it
that's
looks
a
like
really nice feature because that's what keeps a lot of people from actually going out and getting a threaded barrel and trying to run like their Glock suppressed is because they don't have taller sights and they don't want to just point shoot, so they never really get into it.
yeah, it looks like they kind of traded the diameter for some length. They made it a little longer so they could keep it just as quiet while also being able to hold that capacity to make it quieter.
Yeah, I think that's a good trade-off. It's a smart design. So if you guys are interested in checking that out, go to surefire.com, look under products and suppressors, sound suppressors. You'll be able to see that SF Rider 9. It's in the Rider series. So next up, we got something that you'll be able to put that 9mm suppressor on. And I know a lot of people are going to be excited to hear about this. And this is a 9mm carbine. You might be thinking, yeah, okay, Ryan, you've talked about that lots and lots of times before. You're freaking lone wolf fanboy. Like, what are you talking about? Well, this is an AK-47 style. So Definitive Arms has made an AK that takes 9mm. It uses the Colt magazines, and they call it the AKX9. So this is something that Definitive Arms is really well known for producing AKs in different calibers. So they've got an AK and 223 that uses kind of like a modified, somewhat pseudo AR-15 magazine well that's manufactured into the AK. So it takes standard AR-15 magazines, kind of the parallel of what everyone's trying to do with the AR-15 right now is to modify the well to take AK-47 magazines. So this is a true AK-47, but it's got some really nice advanced features on there. They're a little bit more reminiscent of the AR-15, but it does not look like a Frankenstein gun at all. So it's got a nice folding stock on there. It's got the classic AK-47 lever safety. It does have an AR-15 style magazine release, and then it has a bolt release on the other side, on the left side of the firearm. It's not like the paddle of the AR-15, but it's similar in function. Yeah, it's a nice looking AR or AK-47. They are offering it in a pistol and a carbine, and then the folding stock being an option. Both pistol and carbine, they have the same barrel length, 11.125. So what's that? 11 and an eighth.
Eighth, yeah.
Yeah, and they have a 1 in 10 twist. The carbine, however, has a pinned barrel extension, much like if you got like an M4 with like a 14.5-inch barrel, and then you get like some kind of flash hider that adds an extra couple inches on there, so you're legal. Same concept applied to this. So if you wanted to get the carbine with the side folding stock and then get your Form 1 in from the ATF and turn it into an SBR, you would just have to kind of get that, take out that pin weld and unscrew the extension, and it would reveal the threads that are the 1/2 by 28 threads that you can use a suppressor on. And so same thing with the pistol configuration. Of course, it just has a regular flash hider on there. So you can unscrew and put a suppressor on there.
Yeah, like you mentioned, this definitely doesn't look like a Franken AK weird thing. It looks, honestly, first sight, it looks exactly like an AK, just the magazine well's a little different, and the barrel end's a little bit different, but for the most part, it looks just like any other AK you see. And I really like the fact that it's got the bolt hold open. Other than pulling it back and putting it in the little slot in the safety selector, it does have a real bolt hold open like an AR. So that's really neat. Not something you see ever on an AK.
You can check out videos on AtlanticFirearms.com because they're offering it. I know that Military Arms Channel, Tim, his shop Copper Customs is also selling it. You can check out a couple of videos. Even the Military Arms Channel has a short video on it. Of course, if he's selling the gun out of his shop, he won't actually do like a video review of it. He just kind of highlights it and shows it in action. So like I said, you can get the folding stock, or you can get like just the synthetic fixed stock on there. It's pretty attractive. There's been 9mm AK-47 designs in the past. However, they've been designed over in the motherland, and they weren't able to import them over here. I guess that's how that worked out. So this is being made in the USA. This is something that there's a lot of hype on right now. So the MSRP is kind of like that initial huge price tag. So right now we're looking at a price of $1,589 for the fixed stock and about $1,500 for the pistol version. That's really high, and a lot of people are already bulking about that because it's like, how many regular AKs you can buy for that money, yada yada yada. But as the people who have to be in line first and have to have it first, buy these up and they increase production, I'm sure that the price will come down, or at least the street price will be a little bit more reasonable, maybe at least in the 1,000 range. But I think it's pretty awesome, especially that it's got a threaded barrel that you don't have to worry about it whether it's concentric or not. So if you put a suppressor on there, or if you tried to put a suppressor on a regular AK-47, you don't have the correct thread pitch, you always have to be kind of concerned whether you're going to get any baffle strikes because you don't know if the threads are concentric or not. Well, this is being done with much higher quality control, so you'll be able to have a suppressed AK in 9mm. So that's something that's pretty awesome that a lot of AK fans and loyalists might be interested in. So I got the link in the show notes to the Atlantic Firearms website, to their page. It's called the AKX9. There's a 9R, there's a 9S. I think there's a 9P for the pistol version. So you'll be able to check that out for yourself. It's pretty cool. So next up, this is something that I'm sure will appeal to everybody else. If you've got a 1022, this is news that I'm sorry to say it, but it looks like Magpul wants everyone's money this year. Or what did I read on the Magpul's Facebook page? It said, well, 2015 is the year that Magpul wants my wife to divorce me, because they keep putting out awesome products that obviously are almost irresistible. So everyone knows about the Hunter chassis coming out early this summer, right? Well, they also have a stock that is going to you'll be able to drop your 1022 right into. So it's kind of like a miniature version, but the Ruger 1022 is almost ubiquitous. I mean, everyone should have one, right?
Yep, I think most people do. Some people have them and don't even realize they just have had one for so long that they kind of forgot about it. So maybe you could get one of these new Hunter X22 stocks and throw it in there and revamp your old love for the thing.
Yep. So did you get to take a look at this at the NRA show?
Yeah, actually, this was one of the things I was most excited about, honestly. I saw this thing and I was like, just kind of blown away. It's got everything you could possibly want. It's got, starting from the back, it's got the SGA. I think it's compatible with the same stock extension as their SGA shotgun stock, and it's also got the cheek riser extensions that you can get for the SGA as well. I think they all use the same the same exact stuff. So you don't have to buy specific X22 products or specific, you just buy the XGA stuff and it fits on both. It's also got some spots to put QD mounts, like Magpul's standard kind of QD little cups that you can get that fit everything. That's one thing I love about Magpul. They make everything kind of universal, and it's also got those. I forget what they called them. Talked to the guy that actually designed it, which is really interesting. And everybody that loves those phone cases that Magpul puts out, well, the same guy that designed this stock designed those cases that everybody loves so much. But anyways, it's got that kind of M1 carbine style little stock loop, I guess, where you can pass the sling through it. And then moving on up, I think the grip is about the same as the SGA, and then the fore end of it is flat, so you could use it for like kind of bench rest stuff. They actually have a picture of the guy in promo picture where he's setting it on a wood post, just flat right there on it. But a really good feature is it's got their M-LOK system on 3 sides: the left side, the right side, and the bottom. So it's got basically infinite mounting possibilities. You could put whatever you want as long as it's their M-LOK compatibility, or you could get some M-LOK rails and throw that on there. So pretty customizable, I guess. But I think one of the big shining features of this stock, one thing I noticed and kind of freaked out over, if you can't see it in this promo picture that we have in the show notes, but whenever you take the stock out, there's a tray. They call it a barrel tray, I believe they called it. And what it is that you pull this tray out, and on one side it's tapered like the standard 1022 taper, and then you flip it over, and it's got the taper for like a 920 bull barrel. So you won't have to, if you buy a standard 1022, throw it in this stock, and a few months later decide you want to upgrade the barrel, you don't have to buy a new stock. All you do is take this tray out and flip it over, and you can use the same stock. So that's really awesome.
Yep, and it looks like it's going to be available in black, flat dark earth, stealth gray, or olive drab green. Okay,
that's cool. I forgot to actually ask the guys, so I'm glad you noticed that.
Yeah.
But another feature that I'm forgetting is that they added 2 little dimples on the fore end up front and the bottom of the stock area, to where you can drill those out and put some standard sling studs as well.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it'd be nice if they released this in sand, their new like really light beige color, so that you could do like a RIT dye job on it. If you wanted to have this set up with your maybe your Appleseed 22, maybe you dye it red. If you wanted to get one for your girlfriend's 1022, you can dye it pink or purple.
Hey, guys can like pink and purple too.
What's that?
I said guys can like pink and purple too.
Yeah. Sure.
Let's see. There was another feature that I'm drawing a blank on, so never mind.
Should we mention the MSRP on this guy?
Oh yeah. It's the MSRP is $139, so it's kind of pricey compared to other stocks, but it's not terrible. There are plenty of other 1022 stocks you can get for well over that. It's not too much for that you can get under it, so it's feature packed for the price.
Yeah.
And obviously, once it hits stores, it'll be a little bit cheaper than MSRP, just like everything else is. So that's really awesome. I'll definitely be buying one of these. Oh yeah, back to what you were saying about the sand-colored magazines. Took a look at some of those, and guy showed me one of their reps showed me a bunch of different magazines that they had dyed, and a cool little, I guess, kind of tip to do that is he said, I guess they have procedures to do this on their website, so you'll have to look it up. But he said kind of wrapped like a Walmart plastic bag or a garbage bag or something like that around it whenever they dyed it, and that kind of let the dye not get to certain areas. So it was a little lighter in some areas and still sand colored in other areas. So it kind of gave this gradient camouflage pattern. It went from sand to green and just kind of flowed really nice. It was like organic camo, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can definitely see this being extremely popular. It's gonna beat the pants off of the if you've got a Hogue stock still on there. I mean,
Yeah, no, that's kind of the default that everybody goes with because it's relatively cheap and readily available. But with Magpul's manufacturing prowess, you can guarantee these will be everywhere, and I
yeah,
will be picking one of these up.
it will be mine.
Me and Ryan are just gonna have to fight over who's gonna review it first.
Yeah, I think we can both review it and just have you do your review, and I'll make sure if there's anything you missed or because I mean I've got a bow barrel on my 1022. Do you
Uh-huh.
have a tapered standard
Yep, I
taper?
got a standard taper. I might
There's the
buy a new
difference right
1022
there.
just to throw in the stock, though.
Yeah, look up Tactical Innovations out of Idaho. They've got really inexpensive 22 bull barrels that are really high quality. That's where I got mine.
Okay.
I was looking at Tactical Solutions, and as much as I love them, I don't really have $250 to drop on a barrel. But Tactical Innovations has under $150. I think it
Yeah.
was like 110, 120, maybe even less than that, depending on if it's got flutes or whatnot. But that's a good source to look for that too.
Yeah, one of the first things I thought about, honestly, whenever I saw this stock, I said this would make a perfect integral suppressor host. So I'd love to be able to do that. Put a, that kind of, it looks like a bull barrel, but it's actually a integral suppressor, and throw a scope
Yeah,
on the top of that.
yeah,
And
that'd be
man,
cool.
that would be
We're
sick.
one of those Tactical Solutions, like what do they call that? X-ring, where it's got like a shroud that makes it a shorter barrel, but
Yeah, it's
the
like an 11-inch barrel, but it's got a shroud to make it 16 inches. But
yeah,
I
and
don't particularly like those, the
yeah,
looks of those. I
yeah,
guess it's all user preference.
exactly. Anyway, this will be pretty cool. They got a nice, interesting video. It kind of shows a spectator and a sniper in ghillie suits kind of crawling through the woods, and the sniper pulls out his rifle, and you're looking at the stock, and you can't really tell it's a 1022. But the observer pretty much tells him, okay, take the one on the left, so many yards, and he shoots it, and he's planking soda cans. So it's kind of making a little bit of tongue in cheek on, this is really high quality gear for, the guys that want to take their 1022s and just go have fun.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad Magpul can. They have kind of a sense of humor like that. They're not too big, They're
Yeah.
big, but they're still
If they ever go public,
fun.
man, I'm buying some shares because
Oh
I
yeah.
love their company. So that is all the new products that we're going to talk about. We're going to forego the review. I just wanted to talk about one tech gadget for you guys this week, and it's the FN USA Expert. So the Expert is a marksmanship training system that provides instruction to both the shooters and coaches. So it kind of mounts onto your firearm. Uh, so the system focuses on training fundamentals, so sight picture, breathing, trigger squeeze, etc., building muscle memory, and providing feedback following the shot. It's a wireless system, and you can use it while doing dry fire or live fire training on virtually any rifle or carbine, as well as certain pistols. The system can be used on the shooter's assigned weapon together with any optic or accessory that the shooter already has. So it's not like it replaces your scope or anything like that. It can be used indoors with simulated shooting distances or outdoors with life-size targets and real shooting distances up to 300 meters. It measures rifle movement. It detects the shot. It shows the location of both the hit and the miss, and analyzes the shooter's performance. And it helps coaches develop the skills by providing kind of a more objective tool as to the shooter's performance, and kind of helps them diagnose specific problems. So this could be really handy for people that are doing training for small bore or any kind of coaching for shooting. I don't see an MSRP on it yet. The software you can it runs on Windows 8, Windows 7, Vista, and XP if you're still running Windows XP. So it's something a little bit interesting. I don't know if I would necessarily use it, but I just saw that FN was kind of putting it out there, so it definitely has a big company behind it, and it could definitely help some people out.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how it works. Is it like a camera that kind of judges your movements and stuff like that? Like you said, breathing control kind of helps you diagnose your problems. Is that what it does?
Yeah. So I guess I have to look up a video on exactly how it works too.
Yeah, well, they have. I noticed on their page they have a ton of videos talking about it. So I just didn't want to watch it in the middle of the show, just in case it came through the audio.
So like instead of there's systems like this already out that use lasers, it uses infrared LED light. So it's kind of a similar in theory to some of those laser systems where like you've got where your rifle's aiming and then where your shot is, and it kind of shows you where your shot broke the laser where it hit. It's kind of similar, but it's kind of an all integrated system that kind of optically records all that for you. So if you're in any kind of marksmanship training or coaching, you might want to take a look at this. It's on fnhusa.com, and then look under products and just look for the FN Expert. So that concludes the show this week. Is there anything else, TJ?
No, I think we'll wait till a little later to cover some more of my stuff I found at NRA. But I had a great time, met a ton of great people, met a couple listeners even, and it was a good time. Can't wait till next time.
Yeah, I feel like even though going to SHOT Show was a cool experience, I really wish I was able to make both shows this year and get to meet more people.
Yeah, from what I hear,
go ahead.
Especially with it being open to public, what I hear the NRA is a little better. Like I talked to actually the first day we were there, me and Ryan ran into Iraq vet, his YouTube channel, Eric, and he was talking about how SHOT Show is a little more all business, and then NRA show seems to be a little more, I guess, kind of friendly. You can look around a little better, and it's not as strict, I guess you could say, as far as you have a little more freedom just to kind of look around and all that stuff. It's not business, because SHOT Show's more for distributors and NRA is more for the end user. So it was a good show. I was glad I got to go, and the crowds weren't terrible, but I ran back and forth a couple times from one wall to the other one, just trying to look at different stuff, and all the schedules were messed up. I was all the way on one wall, and Anthony from the R15 podcast called me, and he said, "Hey, can you meet me over here to film some stuff for me?" So I ran all the way across the hall, fighting my way through crowds. So it's definitely interesting.
Nice. Yeah, so next week we'll be talking about more products that were released during the NRA show. So stay tuned for that too if we didn't cover something that you've been anxiously waiting to hear about. So we don't have any more listener feedback this week. We do want to make sure you guys know about the FRN EDC Car P9 giveaway that we're having right now. So to be entered, all you have to do is either be a patron using the Patreon kind of crowdfunding platform of the Firearms Radio Network, which is a monthly Patreon, the Gun Guy Radio, which is per episode, This Week in Guns, or We Like Shooting, which are both per episode. So all you need to do is just be a patron once, and you're entered in. If you really do not want to be a patron using Patreon, there's a form on the firearmsradio.tv/EDC page where all you have to do is leave us kind of your FRN story, kind of a testimonial on how the Firearms Radio Network has affected your life in some way. You can omit personal information, use code words, Big Ben, Rubber Ducky, whatever you want to do. and then you'll be entered that as well. Sponsors of the giveaway, obviously Car Arms is throwing in a P9, and we got Alien Gear holsters, Key Bar, Hellbent holsters, Precision Ear, Easy to See Targets, Cantu Brunner Designs, Wazoo Survival, and LA Police Gear. So there's definitely a lot of cool prizes to kind of sweeten the pot. So this is running from obviously March 30th till June 30th. So you've got till the end of June to enter in for this giveaway. So make sure you don't miss it. And wrapping up, make sure you send questions or comments to podcast@firearmsinsider.tv or myself, cross@firearmsradio.tv. Remember to subscribe and leave us an iTunes review. Check out all the other shows on the Firearms Radio Network at firearmsradio.tv/iTunes. And be sure to visit the Firearms Insider website for reviews and more industry coverage. So welcome back, TJ, and it's great to have you on the show again.
Yep, I had fun talking about my experiences at the NRA and these new products.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to next week and all the other cool new stuff we get to drool over.
Yeah, me too.
All right. Well, everyone, have a good week. Shoot safe, and I'll catch you on the next episode.